Welcome to Alberta Conservation Association's Harvest Your Own podcast, the resource for everything hunting, navigating through the field, the butcher shop, and the kitchen. Life is all about great food. Let's get started.
Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Brad Fenson, an avid outdoor enthusiast who has worked as a freelance journalist, photographer, and public speaker for over 3 decades. I have hunted, fished, and foraged all my life and hope to share my passion for the outdoors. Along the way, I want to encourage everyone to harvest wild proteins and enjoy the satisfaction of providing the next meal for your family. Our goal is to educate, entertain, and inspire individuals to get outdoors and create a connection between food, health, and your future meals. Welcome to Harvest Your Own and another episode of BrAdvice. BrAdvice is interesting because I hope to provide some insight or incentive to get back into the field or get out as often as possible. We're going to talk about early season hunting. You know, hunters are great at making excuses. It's too hot, it's too cold, it's too windy. The moon phase isn't right. You know, there's always something that prevents us from going out, but it's usually only in our mind. Early season hunting is incredible. There is so much diversity and opportunity, and it is why our seasons open up as early as August 25th with most of the birds and other things on September 1st or early September, because there's lots of variety and abundance at that time of the year. You know, when we hear people say it's too hot to go hunting, I have to worry about the meat and do all these things. What do you think people in Africa or Texas or places like that do when they have to deal with warm weather every day of the year? Well, the question can be answered quite simply. There's always ways to take care of it. It takes a little bit of planning. And of course, on Harvest Your Own, we've dove into that topic a few times to look at how to care for meat in the early season, how to get it put away, and how to make sure that it's always the best quality possible. So if you're saying, oh, I'm not an early season hunter because I don't want to deal with the meat and the heat or the bugs or something else, I'm afraid you're going to have to find some other excuse, because when the ducks and geese are growing in abundance and we have all the birds that were raised here during the summer and the pheasant release programs are on and our upland populations are worth exploring. But well beyond that, anyone that's hunted whitetail or mule deer know that they're very patternable in the early season. You know, a lot of the grain crops haven't been harvested and those deer have fallen into summer routines where they can travel basically undisturbed between bedding and feeding areas. A little bit of scouting can provide a lot of intel, and it makes it pretty simple to set up to be successful. Early season hunts are wonderful, and you can really learn a lot of insight about a specific herd or animal to help you in the later season if you don't fill your tag. Now, some of the real advantages for the early season hunts come with being able to talk or communicate with certain species. You know, the elk rut is in full swing when the season opens up. Archery hunts in the north open as early as August 25th. And I can say from my previous experiences that the first bull that the earliest bull I've ever called in and harvested was on August 28th. And it was a real eye-opener. You know, I called like a cow searching for a herd, and that bull was about 150 meters down a pipeline. And at first he snapped to attention and he looked down the line trying to see if the cows were visible. And when they weren't, he started running towards me fast. And he got so excited that he started to run sideways and then turned the other way and ran sideways and kicked up his heels and started bucking like he thought he'd won the lottery and found some cows that weren't claimed by another bull. It was a very memorable trip. I ended up harvesting the elk. I put an arrow through it at about 30 yards, and it only ran 30 additional yards and fell over where I could see it in plain sight. We went to work. My son was with me, Cameron, and we got it cleaned up and in game bags and put away real quickly. And it was some of the best eating elk we've ever had. That early season vegetation that's still green adds a lot of moisture, and some people say that it makes a big difference in terms of meat quality. Following the elk rut is the moose rut. And if you're out in the forest this time of year, you're going to start to find different rubs and wallows and different things where the moose are starting to communicate and lay down their calling cards and sign themselves. So again, early season can be very rewarding. You don't have to deal with the cold, You might have to take a thermocell or something to keep some of the bugs at bay, but you really do learn a lot and get to experience a lot firsthand. Getting out there to see and experience these things with the different species is really important to becoming a better hunter overall. The skills and things that you learn when you're out there are going to be used any month of the year. And of course, when we do it on an annual basis, we learn about those animals for this year. So although the seasons open early September, they run through to the end of November. Some of the elk seasons run as late as late February. Things we learn every time we go out are going to help put those puzzle pieces together to finally, hopefully, fill your freezer. So again, get out early, dive into some of the information on Harvest Your Own. Take some cooler, take some ice, take some game bags. Make sure that you know how to deal with things properly. Get out and enjoy some of the waterfowl. It is early season, and the big honkers that are raised locally are going to be around, but those specklebellies are some of the earliest migrants in North America. They're often in Alberta, the first ones, around August 15th to August 20th. So the last couple of years when we went out opening day, we were able to harvest several specklebellies, and we've actually taken some snow geese too. So it's pretty interesting to get out there and not only see those great big honkers that are raised locally on all our ponds and wetlands, but some of our northern visitors that have come all the way from the high Arctic islands where they nest. And getting some early specklebellies and snows is always a bonus, as they eat up pretty well. And anyone that's following the recipes on Harvest Your Own know that the Korean barbecued goose legs are an absolute favorite at our house. And anyone that has tried them, they're going to save those bird legs if they're out, whether it's early season or late. So it's another good excuse to get out there and do things. Of course, other recipes, people say, well, I don't like to shoot ducks and geese early. They're full of pin feathers. There's no fat. That's true, but there's other ways to deal with them. Pulled goose and duck tacos and things like that are a great way to use up early season birds that in some regards are easier to clean. Having to just breast a bird and take the legs and thighs is pretty quick. Plucking a bird and getting it ready for the roasting pan can take a significant amount of time. So again, the excuse for the early season is, I prefer to clean birds by breasting and taking the legs and thighs. It gives you the excuse to go out. Don't make an excuse not to go. Make the excuse to get out there and enjoy it. Now, early season rough grouse hunters are going to find it a bit of a challenge because if there hasn't been any frost yet, that vegetation is going to be thick and high, and you might have to get out during the early hours or late hours to catch them in the open or in shorter grass or clover or some places where they're more visible. And of course, if you have a dog, the dog's nose is always going to help lead you to more birds. We're going to have the pheasant release sites again. They start in September. They have them up in the Peace Country and central Alberta. And I believe they're a little bit later in southern Alberta, but we're still going to call that early season hunting. And same for Hungarian partridge. We do have to wait till September to hunt our sharp-tailed grouse. But you know what? We can call early October early season as well. It just gives you another excuse to get out there and explore another part of the province. Some of those prairie and special areas of our province are great sharp-tail habitat, and you'll be able to find birds there. Early reports are very promising. There's a significant number of roughies being seen this year, and some of my bow hunting friends that have already been out chasing elk are saying, it's going to be fun, and they're packing along some judo points on their arrows to maybe have some fresh chicken hors d'oeuvres in camp, because as much as we're a hunter that is planning things, we can also be opportunists. And even though we're out looking for an elk, if we do run into some grouse and we have the proper equipment, we can harvest them and continue on with our day, with our event, and have some fresh birds in the evening if we don't have fresh elk liver or something else to fry up. So hunters need to start making excuses why you need to go, why you should go, how to get out, how to plan. The more time you spend out there early season, hopefully the more success you're going to have early, but if not, the more intel and knowledge you're going to have for that late season, which again is going to help you. So the biggest problem we're going to have is deciding which direction to head. You're going to hunt waterfowl, you're going to hunt big game. You're going to try to pattern some deer, or you're going to go and try to call some elk. It's a first world problem that drives me crazy because there's just not enough days in September to fit it all in, but we certainly try. Now, a lot of people have accused me of being a bit of a gear junkie. I prefer to say I'm the opportunist because when I leave home, I might have a shotgun and a bow and a rifle and a cooler with different Ziploc bags and game bags and something to deal with whatever I encounter, because when I leave home, a pocket full of tags means I have plenty of opportunity. So whether it's early season black bears, which can be in outcrops in the farm country or in more of the open berry growing habitats that are in the forest, bears are a lot more visible early season as well. And of course, they're very fat and plump. And if you're looking to make some bear lard or have some fresh smoked hams, the fall bears are very nice. They've been feeding on vegetation and berries. And, a lot of people say that bears that feed heavy on chokecherries and blueberries, the meat actually takes on a bluish color. There's only one way to find out if that's true, and that's to get out there and harvest an early season bear. So best of luck. Make some excuses to go and encourage some friends and family to get out with you. Sharing the outdoors when the weather's so wonderful and the skies are full of migrating birds and the woods are full of screaming elk and maybe grunting moose. It's a really special time to be alive and appreciate the outdoors. So head out there. Best of luck. And I hope some BrAdvice encourages you to maybe spend more time in the outdoors, because there's no better rewards than what you find on your own when you're in some unique habitats in our province of Alberta. We hope to inspire people to reconnect with nature and appreciate where your food comes from by harvesting your own. For more information on getting started or to learn specifics about the Field to Fork experience, visit harvestyourown.ca and follow on Facebook and Instagram. Check back often for new material, recipes, and videos that are posted regularly. Please subscribe to Harvest Your Own podcast and take the time to rate and review the show to help us build a dedicated core of passionate hunters as our regular audience. Until next time, embrace the outdoors and all it has to offer. Thanks for joining us.